What if one statue could tell the story of an entire city, of industrial might, forgotten glory, and a century-long fight for survival? Join us as we uncover the untold secrets of Vulcan, the world's largest cast iron statue, and the icon that Birmingham refuses to let fall. This is more than a statue. This is Birmingham's soul.
Did you know that the world's largest cast iron statue has been keeping watch over Birmingham for more than a century? But here's the twist. His story is filled with unexpected surprises. Hey everyone, this is William with Exploring History. And today we're uncovering the epic tale of Vulcan, Birmingham's iconic iron giant. Thanks to our friends at Vulcan Park Museum, we had the incredible opportunity to get exclusive access and dive deep into Vulcan's fascinating history. Stick around until the end, because we're sharing a little known fact about Vulcan that might just surprise you. Let's jump in.
In the heart of Birmingham, Alabama, a colossal figure towers over the city, a symbol of power, industry, and the spirit of this once booming steel town. This is Vulcan, the Roman god of fire and forge, cast in iron and cast into history. But how did this mighty figure become the icon of Birmingham? How did a statue intended for a World's Fair become a symbol that has endured over a century, weathering time, war, and the rise and fall of industry? To uncover this story, we met with Casey Gamble, the Vulcan Museum's program director. Casey shared the fascinating tale of how Vulcan came to be, and explained that it all started with Birmingham's ambition to prove itself on the world stage. Birmingham, 1903, a city forged from iron, steel, and the sweat of its people. Known as the Magic City for its rapid growth, Birmingham was young and eager to prove itself. The perfect opportunity arrived when St. Louis announced its plans for the 1904 World's Fair. To represent their city, Birmingham's leaders needed something bold, something grand, a statue like no other.
It was James McKnight who originally proposed the idea of creating a colossal statue, and he also suggested Vulcan. James McKnight was like a local promoter of sorts. He proposed to the business leaders, city leaders here in Birmingham to make this statue and to take it to the World's Fair. The World's Fair was set to open in April 1904, and all of these proposals were originally made about November 1903. And then they chose Vulcan because of the mythology of Vulcan. So he is the Roman god of fire and forge. Some folks say fire and metals. So really just a little over 5 months was left by the time we decided we're going to do this. We contacted multiple different sculptors, and because of that short time frame, we got rejected several times. One guy in particular said, it's probably going to take you at least 2 or if not 2.5 years to make this statue.
Enter Giuseppe Moretti, an Italian-born sculptor with an ambitious vision and a remarkable legacy. Renowned for his monumental works across the U.S. and abroad, including 97 pieces for Havana's Gran Teatro, Moretti left an indelible mark on Alabama and beyond. He was not only celebrated for creating Birmingham's iconic 56-foot iron statue of Vulcan, but also for championing Alabama marble as a premier medium for fine art. His discovery and promotion of Alabama marble as a rival to Italy's further cemented his reputation, leaving a lasting impact on Silicaga's marble industry. Commissioned late in 1903, Moretti was tasked with creating the largest cast iron statue in the world. His design was nothing short of extraordinary, a 56-foot tall Roman god of fire and forge, a tribute to Birmingham's industrial might. Using local iron, The statue would stand not only as a work of art, but as a testament to the skill and resources defining the city.
Giuseppe was very smart. He knew what he was doing.
Piece by piece, Vulcan was forged from Alabama iron, cast in 21 sections at the Birmingham Steel and Iron Company. Moretti oversaw every detail, ensuring the god of the forge was crafted with precision.
He is working here on site in the city, making those, working to cast those individual pieces. They were able to do it so quickly because we had crews working 24 hours a day, simultaneously working on several pieces at a time.
The first piece was cast in March 1904, and by May 28th, Vulcan was completed, just in time for the fair. He was then packed up and shipped to St. Louis to dazzle the world.
What is super incredible to me is how talented and how detailed Giuseppe Moretti was, because even though he was here in Birmingham overseeing the casting process, local Birmingham ironworkers were on site at the fair actually putting him as in Vulcan, putting Vulcan together. And all of those pieces fit together perfectly.
At the World's Fair, Vulcan stood as a titan among exhibits, a marvel of craftsmanship and engineering. He symbolized Birmingham's booming iron industry, winning the grand prize in the mineral department and acclaim for Moretti.
So Vulcan was complete by the end of May, and the fair was open through December. During that time, around 20 million people made their way from all over the world to the World's Fair. Vulcan was very popular at the fair. Vulcan souvenir little baby statues sold out.
But as the fair ended, Vulcan's journey had only just begun. Casey invited us to explore the museum, where she guided us through the fascinating artifacts on display. She explained the meticulous steps involved in crafting the clay statue, bringing the creative process behind Vulcan to life.
Started out with clay. Mr. Moretti actually did that part in an abandoned church, or a church that was being worked on in Passaic, New Jersey, because there was nowhere with a tall enough roof to do that clay part inside. So that part was done up there. Then he shipped it down in, like, I think 2 pieces from New Jersey, and then did the rest of the process here. And so gotta do all these things to finally get the iron.
What is this? This
is just a little ode to the World's Fair.
Okay.
Not all of these things were necessarily sold at the World's Fair, but that book is like a souvenir sort of book that was published afterwards. There's lots of great photos in there. And then this is just some of the examples of the different Vulcan souvenirs that were made and sold.
The souvenirs included a commemorative book from the 1904 World's Fair, along with other unique treasures like a souvenir bracelet, a watch fob, and many more fascinating artifacts that captured the spirit of the era.
And we actually had multiple other cities offered to purchase Vulcan from us. So St. Louis offered to purchase Vulcan and to keep him there on site in the city. And then the city of San Francisco also offered to purchase Vulcan from us. They wanted to put him in the bay as kind of like a bookend to the Statue of Liberty.
In 1904, Vulcan returned to Birmingham, but city leaders were uncertain of what to do with their iron giant. For over a year, he lay in pieces along the railroad tracks. In October 1906, Vulcan finally found a temporary home at the Alabama State Fairgrounds. But even there, his story took unexpected turns. Merchants used him as a billboard, painting his apron blue to look like overalls and hanging promotional items on the God of Fire.
Vulcan was used to promote a myriad of products. At one time, he promoted ice cream, and he held an ice cream cone in one of his hands. At one point, they hung a sign on him to promote Heinz pickles. And I believe he held a Coke bottle at one point, and he was even used to promote Liberty overalls. Now, there is a persistent rumor around Birmingham that Vulcan actually wore a pair of denim overalls. He did not. The best that we can tell is that he was painted to look like he was wearing overalls.
Yet, Birmingham had not forgotten Vulcan's potential. In the 1930s, a new vision emerged. Thanks to the Works Progress Administration, the statue was given a permanent place atop Red Mountain, overlooking the city it symbolized. A pedestal was built, and in 1939, Vulcan was rededicated, not as an advertising prop, but as a true symbol of Birmingham's industrial roots and aspirations for the future. In the 1940s, Vulcan's role evolved again. Civic leaders transformed him into a beacon for traffic safety.
In 1946, a local organization known as the JCs, or the Junior Chamber of Commerce, proposed using Vulcan to promote traffic safety. So the idea was that Vulcan would hold a torch, and that torch would remain green unless someone died in a car accident. If someone did die in a car accident, the folks down at the Birmingham 911 office had a switch. So they would switch the light from green to red, and it would remain red for 24 hours. Similar to the state fair, this was something that was only supposed to be a 1-year temporary situation. So, the plan was to take down the torch in 1947. But the torch was very popular. It was so popular that other cities started emulating us and doing similar things for traffic safety. Many people in the Birmingham area still have very positive memories of that torch and, how they would use that as a way to, reset and think about others. It was taken down in 1999.
Curious about the fate of Vulcan's torch, I wondered if it still existed. To our surprise, during our tour of the museum, Casey revealed the original torch, which not only still exists, but is fully operational and proudly on display for anyone who visits the museum.
There is Vulcan's torch. That is the original torch. It no longer turns red, only green. We took the red off, and a lot of people really want it back, I will say.
Even today, they wanted.
Oh yes, I cannot tell you how often somebody comes in here and talks about the torch and the fact that it should be back. And sometimes there will be campaigns, people getting signatures and stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It's happened.
So Birmingham is still interested in the torch.
By the late 20th century, time had taken its toll. Vulcan was in dire need of repair. Cracks and years of neglect had left the statue vulnerable.
When Vulcan was first placed here on top of the mountain in the late 1930s, the folks in charge decided to fill him up to his waist with concrete. This was to keep him stable on top of the tower, to basically serve as ballast. This was not a great idea because concrete expands and contracts at a different rate than iron. So as things got hot and cold, when things froze and unfroze, of course the water was also getting into Vulcan. That concrete really tore Vulcan up on the inside. If you see images of Vulcan from the late 1990s, you'll see lime from that concrete actually leaking out of the cracks in Vulcan. So in 1999, we had a safety inspection done, and the inspector discovered that his right arm was only being held up by a single bolt.
But Birmingham citizens rallied, raising millions of dollars to restore their beloved icon. Piece by piece, Vulcan was carefully dismantled, repaired, and, in 2003, returned to his rightful place atop Red Mountain. As we continued our journey, Casey led us to the statue itself, a towering masterpiece that dominates the Birmingham skyline. She guided us through every detail, starting with the intricate design of the entrance.
So the doors here are original to the park when it first opened in the 1930s. You can see they're just really beautifully carved with this gorgeous flower detail. And if you look really closely, you can see the carving marks where they were hand done. So yeah, these have been here since the 1930s.
And they've never been taken off.
No, not to my knowledge. They've never been replaced. They may have been taken down for, to move something or whatever.
Or cleaning them up
Yes.
or something.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Same cannot be said about the gates, though.
The gates out here,
Right. The gates here were installed when the park was originally created in the 1930s. But starting in 1969, we actually closed the park for a couple of years to do a, quote, renovation. At that point, they covered the outside of the tower in marble. We call it the Jetsons look. And they removed all of the outside portion of the tower here. Most of this was then filled in with dirt, with soil. So you could not actually get in to the lobby at one point. These gates were taken down and just kind of tossed. And they were lost for many years. So actually we rediscovered them just kind of partially in the weeds, not too far from here. And we did get them, cleaned up and repainted. But yeah, these are the original gates that were here in the 1930s and were at one point just kind of tossed out like trash.
So when you say this was closed off, how were you able to get inside?
It was elevator only for a while. And then they also enclosed the walkway. The elevator was actually like flush up with the tower. It was not a good look. It was very modern 70s.
the marble at the base, sourced from Alabama's own quarries, was a fitting tribute to the state's rich natural resources and Moretti's passion for local materials.
The marble that you see here is Alabama marble, also known as Sylacauga marble. Pretty famous. It's been compared to Carrara marble. This is, has a lot of different color and variation in it. One thing that people really enjoy pointing out is the different shapes that you may see. Some people see an angel. Other people see butterflies and hearts and all kinds of things.
I can see the angels. I see the butterflies.
Yes. I believe there's a heart right there. Yes.
And the hourglass?
Yes, the hourglass.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So this marble actually delayed the opening of Vulcan Park for a while in the 1930s. We had to wait a while to get it in and get it installed and finish the lobby here before everything was officially done.
Okay.
The Alabama or Sylacauga marble is also a reason why Giuseppe Moretti, Vulcan's sculptor, wound up moving here. Some of it is pure white with no coloration whatsoever. Giuseppe Moretti fell in love with the pure white Sylacauga marble, and he moved here, stayed here for several years. He actually started a couple of different quarry businesses, which weren't super successful, but he used the marble a lot in different pieces that he made, and stayed here for several years until he went back to Italy. So
Wow.
yeah, it was a big deal.
And so obviously back in the 1930s,
Mm-hmm.
there was no elevator.
No elevator until the 70s.
So people actually had to walk up and down in order to go up to see the Vulcan?
That was the only option. My grandmother used to come visit in the 1950s with her sisters when they came into town. And yeah, she always talks about going up the stairs. There was no elevator. No elevator when she was a kid. So yeah, it was installed in 1970-71.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
From there, she took us up to the platform, offering a breathtaking view of the city below. A reminder of Birmingham's industrial roots and its enduring spirit.
You see this,
Yeah.
the mortar? So all of the mortar here from this deck up was replaced just a couple of years ago. So every time it would rain, that water would seep in and eventually make its way down, and that's just what ruined the ceiling in the lobby. So yeah, all of this was recently drilled. Well, some of it was drilled out. Most of it was done by hand, getting out like about 1.5 inches or 2 inches or so, and replacing all of this mortar. Down below, a lot of it was replaced, but only in certain spots. But from here up, everything was replaced.
And these are original stones from the 1930s.
Yep. Gathered from what is now the gardens.
The Botanical Gardens in Birmingham. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Let's enjoy the view, I guess.
All right.
Today, Vulcan stands not just as a reminder of Birmingham's industrial past, but as a beacon of its enduring spirit. He watches over a city that has evolved, struggled, and risen again, just as he has. More than just iron and steel, Vulcan represents strength, a city that refused to be forgotten, and a statue that has withstood the test of time. As we look up at this colossal figure, we are reminded that history is not merely the past. It's the stories we choose to carry forward. And so, we ask, what will Vulcan's story mean to future generations? How will we, like the god of fire, forge our own path forward?
And there you have it. Vulcan, the iron giant who's witnessed it all, from World's Fairs to Birmingham's evolving skyline. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey through history. A huge shout out to our friends at Vulcan Park Museum for welcoming us and sharing their invaluable insight. If you enjoyed this adventure, be sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a comment below, and check out our next video for even more fascinating stories. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious. I'm your host, William, and I can't wait to see you again as we explore history.